Welcome to Dr. Zoe Today, where the topics are always real, raw, and relevant about love, sex, and relationships. Warning, do not listen to this show if you are sensitive to controversial issues or easily offended. Dr. Zoe and her guests are not to be held liable for any shock, pissing of the pants, sudden desire of change, or uncontrollable laughter. Now, here's your host, Dr. Zoe.
Yeah, I just got done with rehearsals. I'm tired. I've been rehearsing all day, dancing, sweating, but I'm ready to do this talk show. I'm ready for you. You're a lot. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You're a lot to handle. You're a lot to handle, but I love it. I'm ready.
Awesome.
I really feel like a special person. You said we have a special treat. It sounds like I'm like a sexual candy bar or something like that. We got a Snickers bar, we got an Almond Joy, and we got a Donnell Rollins. Our special treat comes with chocolate and nougats and everything.
Yes. What was your first sexual experience with a man?
Ooh, well, I couldn't even tell you my first one, but I would say full-on intimacy, full sex. I was 14.
Wow, that's really young.
You think? I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, we all have our... All right, so 14 years old and you had full-on sex with a male. Like,
right.
So was it somebody from school? Was it somebody older?
It was from my own age bracket. Actually, my father had a business colleague that he had become buddy with, and we were invited over to their family's house for dinner, and they had
And you were getting busy with the son upstairs, and you thought he was hot, so he's having a little business dinner, and Dad is breaking bread with a business client, and Justin's upstairs seducing, or was this guy already gay as well, or was it someone that was straight?
No, and to this day, actually, still not out to his family because he just doesn't think they'd agree with it. But
wow.
No, I mean, very, very masculine. You know, he's in the Air Force now, a very smart guy, and we still stay in touch. Like, we're still really great friends.
Okay.
And we were best friends and roommates for a long time after that.
Wow, cool. So did you actually have a relationship with this guy, or?
No, it was just a fuck buddy, in all honesty. But it was it became more than that.
It was a long-term fuck buddy with a masculine male that, you know, was an out.
A friendship with benefits, but
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It takes a special type of person to become a Chippendale, to be on that stage.
Right.
Just because you have a good body, or just because you may be good looking, it doesn't cut it.
Okay, so when you get a new dancer, right?
Yeah.
So when you get a new dancer, what are some of the things you find are the greatest challenges that you have to help them overcome?
Dancing.
The choreography.
Doing the choreography. Because the thing about the Chippendales, the thing about our guys, is most of them haven't grown up performing on stage. Most of these guys are athletes, ex-football players and basketball players, and guys that maybe they got hurt and they didn't make it to the big leagues or something happened. So these are guys, most of the guys when you see on stage are not guys that have been in shows. So they're good looking and they've got a good body. Now I've got to teach them how to perform and how to be sexy. And here's the thing, like most of the dudes that are in the gym working out and stuff, their sexy is kind of douchebaggery. You know, it's like, don't do that. That's douchey. Don't do that. You look like a tool bag. So we've got to strip away all that douchebaggery and that stripper mentality and teach them how to perform and how to be sexy for the ladies and how to make sense about that one lady in the audience.
You talk a lot about sexual fetishes. What are some of the more outlandish ones you think my listeners would be surprised about?
Oh, God, there's so many. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think there's 560-something at last count, sort of formally identified clinical fetishes and paraphilias. And first of all, I should say that a true paraphilia means, if you have a paraphilia, it means that you're almost exclusively dependent on that particular thing to get you off. You need that, basically, to have an orgasm.
But don't people have multiple ones? Like, isn't there...
It's possible to have, it's possible to have multiple. It's not mutually exclusive. It can be very complicated. You can have all sorts of different ones coming together, but you still need that particular constellation of stimuli or whatever it is in the world to get you off. So one example is called a metaphilia, and this is an erotic attraction. A metaphilia, which is from these are largely Greek terminology, and it's and a metic is, for example, something that makes you vomit. So people who are metaphiles are aroused by either feeling like they're vomiting and the sensation of themselves vomiting on their partner, or having their partner vomit on them. And this is actually surprisingly one of the few paraphilias that I found in the literature was mostly manifested in women. There were women that there was a woman I remember who talked about growing up and going to Catholic school, and there was a particularly nasty nun who used to paddle her and those types of things, just like you experienced. And she saw her one.
Mine was a male principal though, so yeah.
So this was a nasty nun apparently.
Okay, a nasty nun is paddling her, and what? It made her throw up,
well, then one day I guess she saw the nun sick to her stomach and vomiting in the bathroom or something, and she took like the sadistic pleasure in things.
She loved
experiencing that.
Yeah.
And she developed this whole thing for wanting her partners to vomit, and she became a lesbian as an adult, and had a nun fetish too.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, so I know you've been traveling and you're always going to clubs, you're always hanging out with other celebrities and stuff. Now be honest with me, because this is Dr. Zoe, this is us talking. So did the ashy guy, did it fuck with your game with the ladies? Like if you're with like Kevin Hart and Snoop and there's like some dime pieces and it's just like, oh, there's that ashy guy, did it ever fuck with your game?
It never fucked with it because you got to realize a lot of women like guys that they can help. If you're a dude that's emotionally challenged, see, it worked totally opposite of what you...
the guy who started Save a Bitch. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
No, who started Save a Bitch is going to finish Save a Bitch. You got Snoop Dogg standing there, and you got Kevin Hart standing there. Both of them look like they don't need anything. Then you got Ashley Larry standing beside him. What are the women going to say? Damn, he looked like he could use a rub down. He looks like he could get some lotion. So it worked in my favor. And what chick don't want to lotion a man up? You tell me one chick don't want to lotion that man up.
Have you gotten a lot of cocoa butter as gifts over the years?
Yo, I was on lotion so hard. When I travel in my rider, I say that I want 20 ounces of lotion on ice before I ever hit any stage. So yes, I have got a lot of things. I won't say action. A lot of things in my favor because my skin is moisturally challenged.
So now you're going from ashy to classy. Is that correct?
Yeah, ashy is. I'm always gonna have an inner ash. It's good for every guy.
Inner ash.
Yep, an inner ash. That's a characteristic that women love. They look like an ashy guy. Looks like a guy that's going to be something in life one day. He's going to work towards something. These guys that are shiny and glistening and moisturized, don't trust those dudes. The dude that don't need no lotion anywhere in his body don't need a woman for anything. He got everything under control.
Okay. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty. I want you to tell me about your experiences, like, in discovering your sexuality. Like, describe the journey for us.
Well, after I came out at 19 to my mom, shortly after, I ended up dating a lesbian for a while. That was interesting.
Okay.
And she was really masculine.
So mom's probably like, oh my gosh, you just told me you're gay. Now you're with a lesbian woman. Okay.
She totally was. She was like, I just got used to you bringing home boys, and now you're bringing home girls that look like boys. Not to make the overgeneralization about lesbians, but it just so happened that my girlfriend Rachel was extremely butch. Okay. And it was so funny because it was total role reversal. She was much more of like the chivalrous stereotype of a character that's typically masculine side of things, and I was much more of the feminine side.
What are your favorite sexual positions? Come on, Brian. It's the Dr. Zoe Today show. You know what you're signing up for.
Listen, I need a glass of wine or something right now. I'm way too sober for this conversation.
Grab your roll up the partition, please. Do you think that that boys and girls, when they reach an age of becoming sexual beings or that sexual imprinting, do you think that they know whether they're going to be attracted to the same sex or the opposite sex? So in other words, in your research, do you believe that we're born gay or straight? Or do you think that it's circumstances or surroundings?
I think it's a complicated question. It's probably more complicated than many of us like to consider, actually.
That's why I asked you.
I think it's very fashionable to say that, people are born gay and so on. And I think there's a lot of persuasive emotional currency behind those types of arguments. Mm-hmm. Right. However, I think it's impossible for me to say that I came out of my mother's womb, attracted to men. I didn't, you don't come out of the womb and immediately go into some sort of sexual testing apparatus where they see who you're attracted to, which sex you're attracted to. Right. But I do remember, being very young, probably about 6 or 7, and taking the clothes off my Superman doll, and having no interest in my sister's Barbies or anything like that, and feeling like it was something that I needed to hide. That's not something that I had any control over. So whether it happened, whether I was
you were 6 or 7 and you were checking out Superman's cock to see what he was packing.
It was very disappointing, by the way.
And his muscles and his so like
I remember correctly. The point is that I had no control over it, whether I was born that way or whether it happened in the first couple of years of my life.
Okay,
she was a woman that was out there in the streets that was having a lot of fun, which is nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, there was times when she would come to me and tell me, like, why can't I find a man? I'm looking for a man. Why is it so hard? These guys ain't shit. These dudes ain't loyal. But I told her, you got to change your thought process. Like, men can tell a desperate woman. If you're going out to a club and you're looking like, I'm going to get somebody for some money, I want to get this guy, we can smell that. Not to say
from
that we
a
want
mile
to engage.
away. I always say that. You can smell desperation from a mile away, yes.
You can smell it from a mile away. Not to say that we won't be engaged, but we won't want to engage with you in the way you want to.
Right.
So first off, I said, you can't look for a man to try to give you happiness. You have to find happiness
within
in yourself, so you have to find your self-worth. You have to find things that motivate you, because that's the energy that we connect with. If we see a woman that's independent, a woman that's doing her own thing and that has her own mindset, we want to be a part of that. We don't want to be a part of just like, this bitch need us for everything. So going back to it, the young lady in that video, she was out there, and I knew somewhere deep down inside she had a good heart. She had a good heart. She had an opportunity to be loved, but until she found peace for herself, she wasn't going to find it. I helped with that, and I also told her another art that she wants to learn. This is definitely a tough art, especially for the African American community. She had to learn the art of shutting the fuck up at the right time, because some women know when to shut the fuck up, but it's not that we want you to shut the fuck up all the time. It's at the right time. There's an art to it. You can talk, but please know the art of shutting the fuck up at the right time. Understand? Yes. And understand this art. There's a lot of women out there that they have all these demands. I want a man to treat me like this. I want a man to treat me like that. He needs to do this. But they don't ever ask themselves, what do they want to do for their man for them to want to do certain things. Of course, you want that queen treatment, but until you learn how to treat a man like a king, nobody's ever going to treat you like a queen.
How would you describe your relationship with him?
I think our relationship is great. I mean, we argue like any couple, none of which is about plastic surgery, by the way. It's just difficult when you have someone who's trying to come out, and, I always say, he always gives the analogy that if gayness was a swimming pool, he would be like dabbling his foot in the kiddie section, that's like 1 foot, and I'm doing flips off the high board into like the 10-foot portion of the pool.
We're talking to Brian Cheatham, who is the creative director of Chippendales. And what are some of the craziest things that happen on the road with the guys? Because I imagine, like, being on the road and being on tour is totally different.
Yeah, oh gosh, some of the crazy stuff that happens.
I mean, do they have to, like, kick out girls out of the hotel rooms and stuff?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I can tell you all this, but...
You can tell me. Don't mention names. Don't mention names.
All right, this was fantastic.
Today show. I mean, come on.
All right, so one time, this is fantastic. It was like Jerry Springer. I mean, I got my video camera out and I was taping this because one of my homeboys, he had double booked. All right, so so he had told this girl, hey, come to the show. and we'll hang out afterwards. Well, he forgot that he had told another girl to come to the show also. So they're both at the show. So he told one girl, he was like, oh, shoot, I don't know what to do. So he just told the one girl, listen, I'm feeling sick. I'm not going to be able to hang out. So I'll check you later. So he goes back to the hotel with the other girl. So the other girl shows up in the same hotel because girls can get a little crazy like that. She's like, something don't sound right. And so she starts banging on his door because she hears something going on. He opens the door. The girl's in there. She goes in, starts fighting with the girl. My homeboy is like, yo, what's going on? It was crazy. So like by this time we hear the commotion going on and everybody's outside watching this, and it was, I should have stopped it.
I never can understand. Why does the girl fight with the other girl like it's the girl's fault? Okay? She's just as big of a dumb bitch just like you. I mean, come on. Like,
so
she was
playing the girl
playing...
because she don't want the girl. She wants the D.
I know, but still, the D is what's fucked up, not the girl. The girl didn't do shit. She's being played just like you're being played. Go after the guy, you know what I'm saying?
No, she's in the way.
I don't understand.
Remove the obstacles. In life, let me just teach y'all something. Ladies, let me teach you something. In life, you must remove the obstacle from what you want, from your goal. And your goal is to D, remove every obstacle.
Whatever, good luck with that. The more that you try to remove every obstacle and go after the D, the more he's going to be looking somewhere else for some other P. So
Talk to him now.
That's true, it's true. Okay, so that's pretty freaking crazy, definitely. So did you get this on video for real?
Oh, I did, but that'll never be released until I do my documentary.
Yeah, but the confidential coach, I mean, I got dibs on that. Okay.
Okay, so this was the story of a sexual cannibal in Germany in the early, I think in 2002, 2003. He placed an ad online recruiting basically another gay man that wanted to be eaten. So he was the sexual cannibal, but there are also a class of people apparently out there in the world that desire to be, or have parts of them eaten for sexual gratification, sort of the ultimate sexual gratification. So there was a response to this ad that he posted at this website called the Cannibal Cafe, which has since been removed. It was supposed to be a fantasy site. But
so how long ago is this? When did this happen?
This was maybe 10 years ago or so.
Okay, gotcha.
And this young man volunteered to be eaten. He went over to the guy's house. And the sexual cannibal himself was actually, I mean, if you looked at him from an outside perspective, he looked like a normal guy. He was a computer programmer or an engineer or something like that.
Oh my God.
And but he had some sort of really kinky, torture chamber in his house.
Kinky is an understatement.
Yeah, kinky
is an understatement. All right, so he has like a torture chamber and stuff?
Yeah, so basically, I cited this example because it actually poses somewhat of a philosophical problem in terms of defining harm clearly when we're talking about sexual deviance, because when it actually culminated, the event, the person who was eaten actually begged the cannibal to eat him. So it was definitely sort of it was a
mutual
volitional act. He consent. It was two adult, consenting sexual partners. They dined on his penis together, I believe, before he was actually eaten.
They what on his penis? They dined on his penis together?
Yeah, and I think the cannibal said it was a chewy or something along those lines. Some sort of a notorious comment on the
my
page.
Gosh.
Very disturbing.
Okay, so what
nevertheless
happened?
Interesting.
What's the end result? What happened to the cannibal?
Oh, well then the interesting thing, again, the sort of philosophical dilemma, what do you do with this guy? Because he was engaged in a mutual consensual activity, but of course it was a criminal act in the sense of committing homicide.
Right.
So he was, I think he actually was sentenced to murder, and he was sentenced he was convicted of murder, sentenced to life in prison. But it didn't go without debate, I think, on both sides of that.
Yeah, I'm sure that, they have to be careful. They had to be careful with locking him up, too, because, he doesn't want to, be around other prisoners and maybe try to eat somebody, I mean, that's crazy, crazy.
His fantasies to live with now.
Here on the Dr. Zoe Today Show, we try to encourage people to have long-term monogamous relationships. We have a good time, we cut up, but we also want to have a positive influence to really inspire and evoke change in people's sexual consciousness, because we live in such an oversexed society with the media, with porn, with everything. So do you think that?
But with that said, with that said, if you're not happy, strap up and go in, son. Smash out.
But do you think that people are loyal this day and age at all, as far as monogamous committed relationships?
I think one of the things that binds that more than anything, I think, really is religion. People, I think they're more they would be more upset about betraying their God than betraying their partner.
Right.
And I mean, I just think that just to naturally expect a man just to want to be with one woman, I think that's
So you think that
far-fetched.
So you think faith is a factor that'll keep a man or a woman in line? Also, I
think that's not always the case. That's not always the case, but I think that's
definitely not. There's a lot of freaks in the church every Sunday.
I know they turn it up, and they turn it up, they turn it down, they turn it down, they turn it down, and hallelujah, amen, praise.
They're coming back. They're coming back from the club, rolling up in the church.
All you have to do is say, bless her heart, or bless his heart. At the end of anything, you could. He said, she got gangbanged last night. Bless her heart. People will be more accepted of it.
All right, but also I think people will stay faithful if they have a good moral compass. It's not necessarily religion. Sometimes they're raised right. They got a good moral compass. Or if there's kids involved, that'll keep them straight.
I think everything that you're saying are things that force a guy to be.
But you don't think it's our natural. You don't think it's natural instinct.
I don't think that it's natural for a man.
Yeah,
to
what
want
you
to be
said.
with one
What
woman.
you said.
I think
it's
something.
Donnell, what you said the other day to me really fucked me up. It made me
I'll repeat. I remember what I said.
Want to commit to anyone ever again. You told me what one of your mentors said.
There are exceptions. There are exceptions to the rule, but this is one of my mentors started in comedy. He told me, this is when your career will take off. When you've banged everything you could bang, you've done everything, you've tried every position, you've done every height, you've done everything you could do. That's when your career takes off. And he said, just keep in mind, and you have to remember this, and this is for the women out here, and this may be hardcore for you. It doesn't matter how good you think your vagina is, it's never going to be better than new vagina. And that was the words.
My God.
Now you have situations, things that come in where you may not want to be experimental and try to find out that, but it's a man's instinct to want to capture. It's a man's instinct to want to hunt. You know what I'm saying? But and to be totally honest, and usually guys, the older you get, once you've been out there and you've soared your oats, whatever, you've done everything you did, that's when you probably become a little bit more mature when it comes to your sexuality.
Right, because a lot of guys, a lot of my clients, a lot of men that I counsel, they're successful, they're out there, they've dated models, they've had it all, and then they're like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of waking up with somebody new every morning. I've had all kinds of pussy, and I'm ready to find somebody to spend my life with. So I think after you sow your oats, maybe there is a time in a man's life where it's just like whatever. But you're saying it doesn't matter.
The thing is too, Dr. Zoe,
you're saying, I'm not going to shut the fuck up. Just listen. You're saying that no matter what we teach them here on Dr. Zoe Today, females, we teach them to do Kegel exercises, keep that pussy nice and tight. No matter if I tell them, keep some mystery about yourself. Don't overdo it. Don't give everything up to your man. Keep a little mystery, because men are naturally hunters, and you got to keep that mystique about yourself. And let me teach you how to take care of yourself, and let me teach you how to,
That will prolong.
If you're not giving head, you need to start.
Oh, wait a minute. You didn't talk about that. Whoa. Slow down. I didn't. Yeah.
I got really involved in drag when I was a kid, and that was really...
How old were you?
It was during that first relationship I had, so I must have been 18, 19 years old, and my friend brought me out to the clubs, and I was just so enamored by like the stage presence and the glamour and the whole show of holding everyone's attention and being so talented and artistic. I mean, it just takes so many different attributes to be able to pull that off and be great at it. And it was something that I knew I wanted to do.
Did you start dressing in drag at that point? Were you like in the shows? Did you start dressing in drag?
I started doing talent competitions in it. It wasn't just like I was dressing up to go out for the heck of it initially. I started doing talent competitions and attempted to get on a house cast, which I did pretty quickly. And I did drag professionally for about 4.5 years. And obviously that also helped on the income side of things and enabled me to travel a decent amount up and down the East Coast and perform.
Now, are you getting surgeries during this period of your life as well?
Well, I mean, I had my first nose job at, 17, 18 years old. So I was doing procedures, not necessarily to feminize my body. I wasn't having hips done or breasts done. But, I ended up that I was always really attracted to like very masculine, if you want to say quote unquote straight, or do I say curious guys. And that was something that led me to find, I guess, a sense of acceptance and validation when I would get attention from those people. And I started to really go out in drag even when I wasn't getting paid. And
okay, let me ask you this. All right, let's fast forward. So, is this still something that you enjoy? Are you still getting dressed up in drag, or is it that now you're getting these implants and these surgeries done, and it's like a different type of artistic expression? Or how is that metamorphosis happened with you, as far as
I still do dress in drag on a rare occasion. I'll do, a charity event or a fundraiser once or twice a year, but it's not to the extent that it was when I was in my 20s.
Why do you think it kind of fizzed out? Like, what do you think it was that kind of fizzed out for you?
I felt that when I was in my 20s, even when I came out and started participating in nightlife and being around other homosexuals and other gays around me, that I really still didn't feel like I was accepted being an overly effeminate gay guy. And I ran into a lot of heartache with people saying, why are you trying to talk like this? Why do you have a lisp? Why are your wrists broken? Why are you attempting to act like this? And I was just being me. But genuinely, it once again made me feel like I was on the outside. And then when I started dressing like a woman, I actually got all these people telling me, oh, you're so pretty and you're beautiful. And I was really skinny and lean. And it just seemed like the mannerisms and everything clicked, and what everybody else was telling me might have been true. Maybe I was born the wrong gender. And that just adds so much level of complexity to think that, like, wow, I actually could be born in the wrong body. But I never disliked my body. And what happened was over time, I ended up dating more mature guys. And I sort of sloughed off the people that were in my own age group, my peers. And I started dating more mature, polished men. And the truth is that those people worshipped me for those things that everybody else was telling me were wrong about me. And they really loved that I had a finesse about me, and I had a polish, and that I was overly groomed and overly upkept. And I didn't have to pretend to be somebody else. I didn't have to put on a costume to go out there and say that I was a drag queen. They genuinely were attracted to me for all the attributes that I had. Yeah.
So that gave you the self-confidence in accepting yourself and seeing that, you could be yourself and be accepted. So that was basically how it kind of phased out, is that you were able to just express yourself for Justin and who you were, and it was no longer needing to get dressed up for the acceptance. Is that correct?
Right. Totally, and it was really interesting for me that when I decided to have my pec implant, it was very much asserting the fact that this was a decision I was making to stay a guy. I was comfortable being a man, and this was only going to reinforce that.
Okay. Just for the record, though, so gender identity has been something that you have gone through as an individual.
Totally.
Okay. What would you say to them as far as like personal tips to men at home listening that want to keep their women satisfied?
You got to switch it up. You got to be sensitive to their needs. A lot of guys, they get bored and they start looking other places.
Yeah, that's true.
They start looking other places and start looking at porn and start doing other things. It's like, I think you need to include your women in your sexual fantasies.
There's another one that is a really interesting phenomenon. These are people called objectosexuals or objectophiles, and these are people who have relationships. Basically, they feel sexually attracted to inanimate objects in their environment, so they feel like they have a relationship with a particular chair, for instance, or a particular ladder, or a particular...
Do they grind and fuck the chair? I mean, like, how does this work? Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's different than just sort of like a shoe fetish or a chair fetish or whatever, because in those cases, you're attracted to just, the general category.
Okay.
With objectophiles, they want that particular...
It's a specific item.
Yes.
Okay,
yes. So
gotcha.
there's a woman that was, she was in love, and she actually married the Eiffel Tower. Her name was Erica Eiffel. Went through a whole elaborate marriage ceremony. Then she got divorced, and she married, or maybe it happened the other way around, the Golden Gate Bridge. And they think that these objects have personalities and temperaments, and of course sexual feelings too. And they have, they view them being monogamous or something.
The psychological profiling on somebody like that would be extremely interesting. Okay, but as far as, there was another one. I heard you, I don't know what it was, but I heard something about someone throwing themselves down the stairs, and that was the only way they could come, or what was that all about?
That's called climacophilia. And apparently, these are people who, and I should say, it could be just one or two people.
I'm sorry, the visual. I mean, the visual of just like someone, was it male or female, throwing themselves down the stairs to have an orgasm? A male. So he's like tumbling down the stairs and he busts a nut. Like that's the only way he could bust a nut, or what?
Yeah, apparently. They probably not good to live in a one-story ranch house like this.
Oh my goodness. I wonder how that came about.
So who did you think was going to be cool but was an asshole?
I want asshole's a tough word when I explain this. But no, when I explain this, I was in a club in Miami one night and I was having a good time, right? And I'm around a lot of celebrities. I don't really get too starstruck unless it's somebody that I grew up watching and I admire. But I was in a club one night and I was having fun. I was with my girl, whatever. We VIP, we popping bottles, we doing whatever you do in Miami. And this tall, dark guy walked past and I was like, oh shit! I looked up, it was Michael Jordan. Right? And I was so, look, listen to you. All I said was his name. You said, that is so wrong. But I'm going to be totally honest.
That's a nice tall dark chocolate bar.
I'll be honest. I said Michael Jordan.
That's like the ultimate chocolate bar right there. Okay,
but let me tell you something. I will say this, and not that, I'm not attaching my sexuality, but when I did see Jordan for a second, I was like, damn, I don't care who you are.
Did you get a Woody? Did you get a semi-Wood?
Now you're exaggerating. You're exaggerating.
You got a little hard.
But my forehead started sweating a little bit. That's Michael Jordan. Come on.
Okay.
But I thought, because there's a lot of celebrities out here, a lot of names out here that are really fascinated and enjoyed the Chappelle Show, and this got me with some conversation with some like big names, and I thought when I saw Jordan, he would possibly be a fan of Chappelle Show, so I went up to him. And I did every catchphrase I ever did on Chappelle's Show. I said, hit me 2 times. I'm rich, bitch! Right? And the last thing you want to do is look Michael Jordan in his face and say, I'm rich, bitch. That's Michael Jordan. And I could tell he didn't vocally say it, but his eyes looked like, I'm richer, bitch. And I think he went and plucked one of his cigar ashes on the top of my bald head.
Oh,
so
shit.
I won't say that he was an asshole.
For real, or is that bullshit?
No, that's a true story.
He asked on Ashy? He asked on you for real?
He asked on Ashy.
You were even more ashy that night, weren't you?
So I'm very curious about this, and maybe you can call this the perv in Dr. Zoe, but so like when you're fucking and when you're like getting kind of rough, are you ever worried like about the implants in your body?
No, in fact, I always tell people harder. Never. If anything, it just acts like a bumper to sort of like, it makes so they can't damage you. I look at them as body armor. So,
okay, so like when they get rough with you, you're never like don't mess up, like don't mess me up. Like I'm a work of art here.
Only with my nose if I'm getting face fucked. That's hard. I have to be a little careful. I don't like getting rug burn on my nose.
You shared with me that you've never been married and you never had any babies. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially for a black guy, people are like, how the hell did that happen? But it was one of those situations.
You don't got no babies out there hiding. No babies.
No, that's people always say that. You got any babies? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. And if you show me a picture of an oily baby, there's no way I was going to claim it. You got to show me a picture of a 13-year-old teenager that doesn't wear lotion, and then that's when I'm going Maury Povich and say I want a damn DNA test. That don't look nothing like my baby. Look how oily his skin is. That don't look nothing like my baby.
If you have a question you want my guests and I to answer on the Dr. Zoe Today app, right on it you can click on Ask Dr. Zoe, submit your question there, or you could go to drzoetoday.com.
Okay, Alicia writes in. She put, why doesn't my boyfriend orgasm when I give him head? Because you're doing it wrong.
Oh, snap.
Okay, I would say, wait. I would say this. Okay, number one, maybe you're not doing it right. And what you can do, I wrote a blog about the art of oral. You can go to zoelena.com. It's ZOELENA.com, and look up the blog, The Art of Oral. It'll give you all the details, all the juicy details, very, how to give head, okay? If not, it might be that he jerks off a lot, and he's desensitized his dick, and he's used to lefty. That happens sometimes. I mean, it happens. It happens where guys are so used to coming from jerking off, then they're with somebody, they're either having sex, and she doesn't specify. If he's having an orgasm with vaginal sex and just not oral sex, then I wouldn't worry about it as much. It's probably just that you're not giving good head, which you can learn how to give good head. But if he's not orgasming with you at all, then it might be that he's just desensitized his penis and he jerks off a lot or something like that. What do you think?
And there you go.
Okay.
It's hard to answer because every guy is different.
True.
I don't think it's like she may get the best head in the world, but some dude he may drink a lot. You know what I mean? He may have
or he's old.
So many things. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things.
Jan wrote in, I recently moved in with a man I happily dated for 8 months. After about a week of living together, I discovered he had large holes in the pockets of every single pair of pants he owned, always on the left side. When I asked him about it, he told me it was so he could masturbate in public places. It grossed me out, and I've been staying with my mother for 2 weeks because of it, as I already gave up my condo. I'm wondering if I'm right and it's disgusting, or is it more common than I think? I say more common than you think. What do you say, Jesse?
I don't think that there are any exact statistics on this. I think it's an interesting question because to me it gets really at the heart of harmfulness. I mean, the things that sort of creep us out and seem that are sort of intuitively disgusting, like this for this woman. If she tried to articulate why it's wrong, I think that she would probably have a hard time doing so. Because he's doing this in sort of his own private, subjective fantasy world, and people aren't aware of what's happening.
Pocket pool privately.
I mean, if he's doing it with sort of discretion and people aren't aware of what's happening, then what's the harm really? I think that the fact that it makes us deeply uncomfortable, it's not a good reflection of whether it's right or wrong. And I think that she just has to ask herself, what sort of things is she into that he doesn't know about that could make him feel similarly, or other people would judge her.
Good point. That's a very good point.
Okay, James writes in. He says, my penis is on the small side, and I'm looking into having penis enlargement surgery. I'm wondering if you have heard of any success or horror stories with this procedure.
Tons. I love reading up about phalloplasty. So there are lots of different things you can do. There are solid silicone implants you can do. There's fat transfer, you do silicone injections. They run the gamut. Alloderm sheets, which is basically sterilized cadaver skin. They implant for girth and or length, depending what you're trying to do. There are even testicular implants for gentlemen who want a more weighty look to their scrotum. So it's all out there. In all honesty, there's a lot of variation and and what I've seen the outcomes be, and different people have different expectations of that procedure too. So I think it's really on a case by case. I don't know if there's any one thing that I would say seems to work even 90% of the time as well as most men would hope. It doesn't ever seem to be an easy journey, but you can definitely make an improvement upon. Some people go overboard. I have one friend who has a 13 by 16 inch penis. So it all depends what you're trying to achieve.
Wait, what? 13 by 16?
13 around by 16 long when he's erect, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next. Susan says, I love my husband very much, but when I'm intimate with him, I always fantasize about other men. I always feel ashamed afterwards that I just couldn't be in the moment with my husband. Is that normal? Yes, it's very normal and nothing to be ashamed of. What would you say?
Absolutely. Listen, it's normal. Don't feel bad about it. Embrace it. At least just listen. And I had this conversation with somebody the other day. They're like, well, if you think about it, it's cheating. No, it's not. Think about it. Here's the deal. Don't tell him you're thinking about it. Nobody wants to hear that. Your thoughts are your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You can't feel bad for thinking a certain way.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I disagree with you. I agree with you. Yes, you should not feel bad. It's totally normal. But I also think that people need to be more open-minded. Divorce is insane. I had a guest on last week that said there's there's tons of single people in the United States. Marriages are not working, and we need to redefine what the fuck marriage is. So why not, spice things up and talk dirty in bed and talk about your fantasies. And, maybe that's totally he wouldn't be into that and, whatever. But try,
Dr. Zoe, no way. What? Time out.
Oh, okay. When I was married, I would be like, baby, I would talk about everything in bed. And he loved it. He loved it.
He loved hearing you fantasize about another dude?
But I would throw some chicks in there sometimes too.
Get it. Now, if that's the case, absolutely talk about it.
Don't be, there's a difference between physically having sex with someone else and cheating on your partner and fantasizing. Fantasy is what it's all about. You've got to bring fantasy into the bedroom and say, baby, this is just dirty time. This is just our naughty time. This is just talk. It's just fantasy. It's not reality. It's just so we can get off together.
Donnell, are you ready?
I was born ready, woman.
Okay, all right. So we got a question from Mike. It says, I'm a club promoter and I hook up with different women every weekend. The problem is I can never get them to leave my crib in the mornings. How can I nicely get them to leave, especially since they never look the way they did in the club? It's honestly kind of scary. I woke up like this. Okay, so
I woke up like this.
I know. I want to do a spoof on that, and I want my hair to be all messy and I'm scared, down on my face like I just fucked all night and just sing that song. All right, so what do you say? What's a nice way to get a bitch to leave in the morning? And I shouldn't say that. Listen, the ladies, how do you handle that situation? This is like an old school way. You could just have one of your boys call you at a certain time. If you want her up like 9 o'clock, he can call you like at 8 o'clock and say it's some type of catastrophic emergency down at the club or something like that. That could be a good way. Or you could, all depends on how big your space is. You can have your mom come over for a week and have her in one room. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, chick. If you've been scandalous the night before that quick, nobody wants to have a conversation with your mother about what you want for breakfast. Or you could say, be straight up. This is one, and they get the message. After you've had crazy hot sex all night, whatever, and that point where you look up in the ceiling and everything, and she's laying there like, what's going to do next? Just say to her, what you're about to do. And if a woman doesn't know what that means, get the fuck out, then, you don't know that person. You probably don't know him anyway. Right.
Tell him to leave, son.
Yeah, okay. All right, Jason writes in, I'm hopelessly turned on by she-males. I would instantly turn gay for one, even though I have never sucked a dick or had gay sex. It's the only porn I watch, but I would never want to be with a regular man. So does this make me bisexual?
No, actually, this is really interesting because it is kind of a puzzle if you think about it. Why otherwise, very heterosexual men would be attracted to the female genre.
With a penis, but there's a penis involved. So
the interpretation is that it triggers our sperm competition psychology from a man's perspective.
Sperm
because first of all, you've got this beautiful.
That's your next book. That's your next book.
You've got this beautiful woman. She's got these gorgeous breasts, and she's got a very feminine face, and she's dressed like a woman, and all of a sudden she pulls down her pants, and she's got a big penis. This basically tricks your mind into thinking that there's a man having sex with this beautiful woman, and you're competing with that man. So that actually makes you even hornier in terms of what we talked about earlier with the shape of the penis and thrusting deeper, and turning you on even more. So
now, aren't they men that have breast implants and hormone therapy and things like that? Isn't that what a she-male is?
No, and there's all sorts of...
or it could be a female that had a penis implant?
It could be somebody sort of post or pre-op in terms of being a transsexual male to female.
Okay, so it's a male that is pre-opt.
In this case, yeah. If she actually does have if she does anatomically have breasts, and it's not just sort of makeup and everything. It's much more than just simply being like a drag queen.
Right. Okay, I say that I hate labels. Like, I don't condone, I do not like labels. I think we're each individuals and we're all different. But I would say that if you say you would turn gay for a she-male in an instant, and there's a penis involved, there's got to be some kind of like bisexual thing there. But Jesse says no.
I don't think so. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think that there's actually a very large contingent of completely straight men that are
totally
really
write a book on this, Jesse. Totally.
That are really turned on by the she-male porn. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Nikki writes in, I'm engaged to be married this fall. My fiancé and I were having a discussion last week, and he told me that he had a sexual relationship with another man in college 10 years ago. That lasted 3 months. He says it was just a phase and it'll never happen again, but I cannot let it go. What if he turns gay on me when we're married? Okay.
Well, first of all, I'll go. First of all, she should be happy that she's got a man that's honest with her. For a dude to tell her that, that's a lot. So that means you got a man, he's not trying. What you should be worried about is if he didn't say anything and he's a down low brother. Does that happen? Because you know what? Because most of the time that a dude leaves a woman in marriage, she didn't know about it, he was already doing it.
Yeah.
So he's an open and honest guy, it sounds like to me. And he wants to be with her.
It does say a lot that he told you, and just because it happened 10 years ago and it hasn't happened again, and he told you it was a phase. Now, first of all, number one, we all have our checker. We all have our, like we said, God-given discernment, intuition, gut feelings, whatever you want to call it. So go with your intuition, because when I'm reading this and she says, right here, she says, I can't let go of it, but I cannot let it go. I cannot let it go. Nikki, it sounds like you're looking for an excuse. Maybe you're the one getting cold feet, because if you can't let it go, you're going to bitch about this for the rest of his life. And your poor fiance. Listen, I've had sexual relations with women 10 years ago, a year ago. I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you gay just because he went through a phase and he experimented, and it was 10 years ago in college, and he was honest with you about it. Seriously, go with your intuition. If you're like hanging out and you're like, ooh, he's hot, and he's like, oh yeah, he is. Like, okay, then maybe you shouldn't marry the guy. Or if he's like, you see him like he's not glancing, at the women, he's glancing at the men, then okay, maybe there's a problem. But if there's nothing like that, and he was honest with you about this, and this was just a phase in college, you have nothing to worry about, and maybe you need to check yourself, because
check yourself, baby.
Yes,
I love it. Listen, and I hope she does, and I hope the listeners know. That's the way she thinks. That mentality is the reason why sometimes guys aren't honest or women aren't honest. So when you find somebody that is comfortable with themselves and that is comfortable with you and loves and trusts you enough to share that type of information, they sound like a pretty good person to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really, I had someone recently tell me that she shared with her boyfriend of 3 years recently that she was abused as a child sexually. And I said, you know what, honey? I said, you love that man. That is the man. If you feel like you could share, she said it was the first person she told. The first person she told. So when someone shares intimate situations and information about themselves with you, you know that that person loves and trusts you. So, yeah. So if you can't let go of it, then you've got a problem, seriously.
Samuel writes in, he put, I want to break out in the adult entertainment industry, but I feel like no one will take me seriously because not only am I black, but I'm a little person. But I have a full-size penis, and I'm really good in bed. Dr. Zoe, do you have any connections or advice? First of all, I would say don't give up on your dream, little man with a big penis. Don't give up on your dream. And I don't have any connections for you. That's not my forte. But I will say, you know, I'm sure that that's already out there. I'm sure there's a little people porn industry somewhere that you could find out about. Donnell, you know anything about this? What you got to say to Samuel? Samuel's a little man.
I'll say, you know, like, I don't know who wants to be a porn star. I have a friend that's a porn star, and the way he got discovered, this girl sat on his lap. She was like, damn, you should do porno. The same girl sat on my lap was like, damn, you should tell jokes. So, you know what I mean? I don't know if I connected with you in that sense or whatever, but get some references. I think you know that you could possibly have a porno career when chicks start saying, damn, you should put that dick on film. And if they say that, then you just, you know, send out a YouTube joint. Get social media involved, son. Go out there. Let the streets call for you.
There you go. There you go. Okay, one more question. Brett, I'm married to a very classy, beautiful, successful woman for almost 10 years. About a month ago, one of her friends brought up something in a conversation that I had no idea of. There is an easily accessible video from the mid-90s of my wife having sex with a donkey. I know it was a long time ago, but I'm more upset about this than I would be if she was cheating on me our entire relationship. I cannot let it go. I guess I'm asking for a voice of reason.
Well.
Okay, I say dump the bitch. Every time you have sex with her, all you're going to see in your mind is donkey dick. So there's no way you're going to... If you even said in the question you can't let it go, then you need to move on, I say. But, you know, let's see what Jesse says.
I don't know. I mean, to me, again, it sort of comes down to the question of harm. You know, actually, I spent some time in the book talking about bestiality. It wasn't easy for me to
Which book?
In Perv. And,
okay.
It wasn't easy for me because I personally find it really aversive and off-putting and you know, I hesitate to say disgusting, but I kind of do. But from a logical sort of rationalist perspective, I also understand that you have to look at the situation on a case-by-case basis. And it's, you know, what she's doing with that donkey is not inherently hurting that donkey and could in fact be interpreted as bringing it pleasure. Then, you know, then it becomes more of just sort of a social stigma in terms of her having sex with another species.
So, Brett, every time you talk to her, just like get in bed and while you're fucking, just be like, hey, was it fun getting that donkey off? Not. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. I understand from your point of view.
There are plenty of men, you know, that I guess are turned on by those sort of things.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Brett, I say let her find somebody that is turned on by the fact that she's been with a donkey.
I think I probably would agree, just for
Tune in next time for real, raw, relevant information about love, sex, and relationships.
Listen. Drive her all up the partition, please. Blind your rearview mirrors with the end of my sleeve. The shit that's on my wrist you probably wouldn't believe. Every symbol of success levels you couldn't achieve. Drive her all up the partition, please. I'm alarmed at how she's looking and she's starting to breathe. Move my arm and grab my john and now she's starting to squeeze. She dropped to her knees, fulfilling my needs. She swallowed my seed. She's ready to go. Let's go. Partition is up. The curtains is closed. Okay. Mommy nice with it like she played for the pros. That's right. She gagged from her throat while she breathed through her nose. Oh shit. She's starting to choke. She curling her toes. Look how she trying to take it all down. Come out your clothes. That's right. I waited for a second and I thought for a minute. Ain't no loving good enough to give her while I'm up in it. Tell 'em, B.
Drive around at the partition, please. Drive around at the partition, please.
Azealia. Thanks.
Stress never, the sex better, the sex wetter. Check cheddar, etc., etc. Bet you could get severed and less steady. Slept I creepin' the 6-7. These niggas be puffin', they piffin' the public. They diggin', they lustin' the feminine shreddin'. She hittin' the button. I dip in the function, I'm proceeding, pumping the tit in the rumpin'. I'm flippin', I'm dumpin', I'm trickin' and trumpin' them. But if these niggas wanna spin they cheese, tell them hit the little Miss AC. Very heavy-headed, dictate heat. I'ma flip out if a bitch play me. Drive around at the partition, please. Drive around at the partition, please. I don't need you seeing your thing on her knees. 'Cause 45 minutes to get out yourself. We ain't even